Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Islip Planning Board for November 12th, 2025. Remind applicants to please keep your presentations to 30 minutes or less. If you're a member of the community who would like to speak on an application, there are yellow cards in the back. Please fill one out and bring it up front. Would everybody please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda, Dimas Escobar, SP 2014-012R1, southeast corner of Pioneer Drive and Pine Grove Boulevard, Bayshore, 140 Pioneer Drive. Applicant requests parking, landscaping, buffer relaxations, and other site modifications in connection with the expansion of an existing deli and fish market. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services, with offices at 231 Islip Avenue, Islip, New York. We're here today seeking site plan modifications for the property located at 140 Pioneer Drive in Bayshore. This project is an expansion of the existing deli and fish market to include a restaurant. The existing deli and fish market were previously before the board, wherein a change of zone and a site plan modifications were granted under application CZ 2011-19. We are here tonight for a further relaxation of the front yard landscaping, overall landscaping, landscaped area along Pine Grove Boulevard, and a residential buffer area. At the time of the previous grant, a front yard relaxation to maintain 7% was granted. However, with the plantings that were completed, the existing site maintains 5.4%. The overall landscaping was granted at 19.8%, and the existing site has a landscaping of 6.8%. The landscaped area that was granted with a minimum depth of 8 feet along Pine Grove Boulevard has a landscaped area ranging from 0 feet to 7.2 feet. Lastly, the residential buffer that was granted at 21.5 feet. After placing the refuse enclosure and 2 light poles, the existing site now maintains 18.5 feet. We have submitted to engineering a revised site plan with the existing conditions and modifications that were discussed on May 8th of 2025. It is pending final approval depending on the outcome of tonight's hearing. Additionally, the preliminary site plan modification conditions were presented to the property owner, and the property owner has agreed to those site plan conditions. If the board has any questions, I'll take them.
Thank you. We have no cards on this one for anyone who wishes to speak. I'm going to turn to Mr. Vrain for a staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This business one zone property consists of approximately 0.6 acres and is currently improved with a 7,200 square foot building. The original structure contained 3 separate tenant spaces occupied by a luncheonette, a fish market, and a deli. Over time, various permits were obtained for alterations and additions, ultimately combining the spaces into one unit, currently operating as the fish market, deli, and restaurant. In 2014, a site plan was approved. It was SP 2014-012 for side yard and rear additions. A corresponding building permit 148337 was issued and construction was completed. While some inspections were performed, a certificate of occupancy was never issued. In 2022, the applicant applied for a certificate of compliance for the additions. During the review, it was determined that certain modifications were made to the site that differed from the prior approved site plan. The prior approval included an overall landscaping relaxation from the required 20% to the proposed 19.8%. However, it was later identified that that buffer area had been inadvertently included in the calculation. When recalculated, excluding the buffer, the actual overall landscaping should have been reduced to 7%. The applicant is now requesting an approval for 6.7% overall landscaping, which represents approximately 55 square feet less than the prior approval. A mitigation fee will be assessed for the difference. The front yard landscaping was previously approved at 7%, and the applicant is now requesting a further reduction to 3.9%. 2 existing street trees and low shrubs along Pioneer Drive will remain in place. Along Pine Grove Boulevard, the previously approved 8-foot landscaping depth currently varies from 0 feet to 7.2 feet, and while the prior plan called for street trees in this area, There are various mature landscaping elements that were installed in their place. The applicant is requesting permission to maintain the existing mature landscaping in lieu of planting new street trees. The refuse enclosure was approved on the east side of the property with a 21-foot setback, but was constructed at 18.5 feet. 2 light poles were also installed adjacent to the enclosure within the buffer area. Relocating that enclosure to meet the originally approved setback would actually result in a loss of parking spaces. To the east of the property, there's a box truck and various stored materials that are currently located adjacent to and behind the refuse enclosure. These items will be removed and the landscaping within that buffer will be restored. Lastly, while 10 outdoor seating spots were approved, the tents that were installed along Pine Grove Boulevard were not and are also to be removed. The site has been well maintained. No complaints have been received from the surrounding neighbors. Based on the above, staff recommends that the board grant the application subject to the attached conditions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Not seeing anything further from the applicant?
Nothing further.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Mr. Moriarty?
Mr. Chair, thank you. Yes, I'd make a motion to close the public hearing, grant the application subject to the conditions that have been agreed to by the applicant.
It's a motion by Mr. Moriarty to grant the application, close the public hearing, grant the application subject to the covenants and restrictions. Second by Ms. Cruz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The application is granted. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Item 2 on the agenda, planning board application, site plan modification, Maximilian Branchinelli, SP 2025-062, west side of 4th Avenue, approximately 172.64 feet north of West Main Street, State Route 27A, Bay Shore, 18 4th Avenue. Applicant requests a parking relaxation in connection with an interior alteration to an existing commercial tenant space. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Brian Kiefner, JM2 Architecture, 2410 North Ocean Ave, Farmingville, New York. JM2 Architecture.
Did you want to make a presentation or go right?
Yeah,
to it?
yeah,
Okay,
I was going to
great.
say, we're asking for relief. There was a previous relief given from 42 spaces down to 28. We're asking for 43 spaces down to 28, so it's an additional parking space. During construction, they reconfigured the commercial tenant spaces from 2 to 1, and they also did some work to move the elevator machine room, change the janitor closet, and the electrical closet. This resulted in an additional 110 square feet being allocated to the commercial retail space, which is generating the parking additional requirement. The proposed tenant for this is a takeout place. It's like a charcuterie pre-order pickup, so they're really not going to have a lot of additional foot traffic. I think originally there was a potential restaurant going in. That's not going to happen. So it's like a very limited amount of car traffic. Like I said, people are going to pre-order it, pick it up, leave. We have a municipal lot directly adjacent, which during peak business hours is approximately 30% vacant. So even if you have multiple guests in this place, they can park in the municipal lot, and you're not really overfilling this lot. So I feel it's a de minimis request.
Thank you. We have no cards on this, so I'll go directly to Mr. Andre for a staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject property is located on the west side of 4th Avenue, approximately 172 feet north of West Main Street in Bay Shore, and is improved with a mixed-use building that was originally approved by the Planning Board in 2015. Tonight, the applicant is requesting a parking relaxation in connection with an interior alteration to the existing commercial tenant space that relocates an elevator machine room to the basement and reduces the size of a janitorial closet. This alteration increases the size of the commercial tenant space by 112 square feet and therefore increases the required parking by 1 additional stall, bringing the total parking required to 29 stalls where 28 are provided. The applicant is requesting to maintain the existing 28 parking stalls, which was approved on the 2015 site plan, and obtain a relaxation for the 1 additional stall. This increase is de minimis and will not create a substantial increase in parking demand. Therefore, planning recommends the board grant the application subject to the attached conditions.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I have a copy of the conditions signed by the property owner.
Sure,
I can provide a
we'll take those.
original once they get it to me.
Any questions from the board?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Moriarty?
Yeah, just one question of the applicant. Is this the only commercial space in the building?
Yes,
It is. Okay, great. Thank you.
it's right on the front.
Any further questions from the board? Mr. Rulon?
Yes. What is it called now? Is it the takeout place now? Or?
It's vacant right now. It's a vanilla box.
Okay, do you know what it's going to be called?
It's going to be called Gray's Craze.
Crazy, okay.
Yeah. It's a chain. It's all over the United
Gray's?
States, yeah. They
Okay.
do pre-made.
I mean, no
turkey.
cows there or anything, right?
No, no.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further from the board? Is there a motion? Mr. Moriarty? Oh, Mr. Rulon? Whoever wants it. Don't fight. Mr. Rulon?
I make a motion to close the public hearing and to grant the application subject to the conditions that I believe the applicant has agreed to.
It's a motion by Mr. Rulon to close the public hearing and grant the application subject to the conditions. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? The application is granted. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Item 3 on the agenda, Planning Board application, public hearing, M&J Lincoln LLC, PB 2025-011, northwest corner of Lincoln Avenue and Veterans Memorial Highway, State Route 454, Holbrook, 0 Veterans Memorial Highway. Applicant requests a Planning Board special permit for a fast food restaurant with drive-through pursuant to Section 68-466.1 L2. Applicant also requests a waiver of 68-423.11F, which requires outdoor dining. Site plan modifications may be required as part of the application. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is J.R. DeCiccio with the law firm of Greenberg Charig, 900 Stewart Avenue, Garden City, New York. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, M&J Lincoln LLC. With me, I have the project engineer from Bowler Engineering, Matt Tyler, and also the traffic engineer, Ethan Shikoski from Atlantic Traffic and Design. The subject property is located on the northwest corner of Lincoln Avenue and Betts Highway in Holbrook, as is contained within the Industrial Corridor District. The ICD recognizes the importance of providing goods and services to the businesses and employees that work along the corridor, and we believe that the proposal tonight accomplishes that goal. We are seeking a special permit for a fast food restaurant with a drive-through necessary to develop the property with a 3,694 square foot McDonald's with the capacity to hold 38 indoor seats. The portion of the property that is subject of the application tonight is just shy of 1.5 acres with direct access both on Betts Highway and Lincoln Avenue. We have revised the site plan to include an outdoor dining area as well as an outdoor plaza, so those portions of the application seeking a waiver are hereby withdrawn. The lot and the proposed development comply with the zoning requirements of the ICD for the most part. We are seeking some insignificant site plan modifications. But we do comply with parking. We have 40 parking stalls. The queuing, we have storage for 19 cars, so we comply with that. And we are also located at a signalized intersection, so we meet that requirement of the zoning code. The minor site plan modifications we need, it's just with respect to the location of the queuing lane. Because we're on a corner lot, we are in the second front yard. And we're also not providing direct screening of the queuing lane, but we are providing superior landscaping along Lincoln Avenue, as well as another interior row of plantings along the parking lot so that the queuing lane will be screened from public view. As far as the traffic impacts, I'll invite Mr. Shikoski up for some brief testimony.
Good evening, Ethan Shikoski. I'm with TPD Engineering, formerly known as Atlantic Traffic and Design, offices at 275 Broad Hollow Road in Melville, New York. I'm a professional engineer and a professional traffic operations engineer. I've testified in front of this board as a traffic expert in the past. We prepared a traffic impact analysis last revised September 15th, 2025. We submitted that traffic impact analysis to both the town, which was reviewed by L.K. McLean, as I'm sure the planner will describe in her report, and we also submitted to the New York State Department of Transportation. We're located at the signalized intersection of Veteran Memorials Highway and Lincoln Avenue. That's a state DOT jurisdiction traffic signal, with Vets Highway being the state DOT roadway and Lincoln Avenue being a local town road. We first looked at trip generation for the proposed fast food restaurant. There's nothing on the site currently, so there's nothing to compare to, but for the proposed development, we projected trips using the Institute of Transportation Engineers 11th edition of trip generation for a fast food restaurant with drive-through land use. We also noted that these types of land uses generate a significant amount of pass-by traffic. About 50% of traffic to a restaurant like this is pass-by in nature, which is cars already on the roadway, stopping along their commute, or on their way to another destination. So we took that into account as well. We did perform a crash analysis at the intersection over a 5-year period to evaluate if there are any known safety issues at that signalized intersection where the proposed restaurant would be put. We did identify a safety concern regarding right angle and left angle crashes from westbound left turns and northbound and eastbound traffic. That left turn would be away from our site. However, because we are generating some traffic to the intersection, we thought it a good idea to identify, potential safety improvements. So we were recommending a modification of the westbound left turn signal. Today, it's a protected, permitted left turn. So what that means is basically you have the left turn arrow and you have the ball, green ball. So you get a green arrow at the start of the phase, and then it switches to the ball, and that's what we call permissive, and then you have to yield to the eastbound traffic at that point. What we're proposing, which would actually match the other side, is to just make that a fully protected phase. So you'd have 3 arrows. You'd have the green, yellow, and red arrow, and you wouldn't have that option to make that permissive left turn. And we think that's going to reduce the likelihood of those collisions between the left turning traffic and the through traffic from the other side. We did discuss this safety improvement with State DOT, and they agreed to that modification. So we're in the process of developing a traffic signal plan to show the modification. We evaluated future build conditions, looking at a future no-build condition, future build with the development, and then a future build with the mitigation scenario. We discussed with the town and the DOT multiple mitigation scenarios, some looking at geometric changes at the intersection, and others looking at just signal timing adjustments based on the additional traffic to the intersection. We found that in the end we proposed traffic signal timing changes in addition to that safety improvement with the westbound left turning signal. DOT reviewed those scenarios with us, and they concurred with just traffic signal timing mitigation and the safety improvement with the westbound left turn. We've submitted that analysis to the town as well. Just quickly, the parking appears to be sufficient. It meets town code, and also per our projections and what ITE publishes, it seems to be sufficient. And the queuing for the drive-through is also sufficient based on research we've conducted at other McDonald's on Long Island. I'm available for any questions, if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further?
JR, you go.
We'll go to public comment, then we'll go to staff report.
Lauren Lester?
Okay, I'm really bad at public speaking, so that'll say how much I know. Even still, you guys all are. So I'm saying that there's nobody here probably because I pass that location maybe 10 times a day, and I didn't find out about this until 3 days ago. I think that there would be more people here. There's a lot of people that aren't happy about this, honestly. If you go down Lincoln Road, that's a neighborhood. So I get that there's commercial businesses there, like, not really commercial, it's just like office buildings. You can't even tell that they're office buildings, it's like one story. You go down Lincoln Avenue, you probably can't see, I don't know if you can see on the things you have up there. It's a neighborhood, so this is like a one-way exit out of that neighborhood. The only other way is Broadway, and that's already full of traffic. Both are one lane each way. The traffic is insane getting out of there. Putting a fast food restaurant on this corner really makes no sense to me. If you drive down Vets Highway 30 seconds, there's like 10 empty lots. Why wouldn't you put something there? This corner is going to cause a lot of issues for the people living in that neighborhood. So I don't know if you guys can just consider or think about it a little further than giving in right now. I don't know how this works. I've never done this before in my life. But I just felt like I had to speak to it because, like I said, I pass that corner every single day of my life, like 30 times a day. I don't know if you guys, and there was a McDonald's right down the block. I don't know if you guys knew that went out of business 3 years ago because they did not have a drive-through, which I get. But why wouldn't you just go back to that lot or the other 30 lots, that are already open instead of cutting down more trees and all of that, So that's my, I don't know. That's all I have to say, I guess. I don't know if you guys have questions or anything.
Thank you.
Thanks for hearing me out. Appreciate it.
I'm going to turn to Ms. Wozniak for a staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, the applicant's requesting a planning board special permit for a fast food restaurant to construct a 3,694 square foot McDonald's with 38 seats. The request for a waiver of outside seating has been eliminated, and the applicant's now proposing 4 outside seats. The application was submitted earlier this year, along with the traffic impact study that has been reviewed by the town's traffic consultant. All of the comments have been successfully addressed, and the state provided email correspondence stating that they have no objections to the proposed improvements. The McDonald's will be constructed on the eastern portion of the site, and the western portion of the site is proposed to remain unimproved at this time. Two-way cross-access to the western site will be provided directly across from the Lincoln Avenue curb cut. However, the parking along the northern portion of the site will need to be relocated further north to accommodate an appropriate drive aisle. At this time, there's no development proposal for this side of the site, so proposed conditions do allow for relocation of this cross-access should the town engineer determine the cross-access is more appropriate elsewhere once the development plans for the rest of the site is known. The project meets the required parking and landscaping, but will require planning board approval for the angled parking shown on the plan. The project also proposes a plaza area along Vets Highway, which will feature decorative pavement, benches, and a flagpole. Based on this, planning recommends the board grant the application, subject to the attached conditions, which are consistent with special permit conditions for the other fast food uses on Vets Highway.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Ms. Ryan, then Mr. Moriarty.
The radius mailing requirement. Hello? Not working. Okay, we'll try this again. The radius mailing requirement to notify the adjoining and nearby property owners, did that include any residential properties?
Let me check. It was the, no, it's a 200-foot radius. It doesn't, looks like all the properties that are surrounding are all industrial.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Moriarty. Just. Ma'am, We're just keeping a record. Speak right at a time. Mr. Moriarty.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question. On the remaining lot that's undeveloped, what's the maximum size of a structure that can go on that? Do we have that internally among planning
Well,
staff? Where do you have that?
I think it
Exactly.
depends on the type of use that's going to be proposed there.
But assuming it's, well, you have an office, if it's, say, for example, if it's an office building, what would the footprint look like?
I don't have that. You have the, I have, hold on. So on the second lot, we'd be allowed about 49,000 square feet.
49,000 square foot of
Yeah.
of building?
Yes.
Okay. And the cross, just to be clear here, the cross-access easement, that's been agreed to?
Well, we own both properties.
But assuming you could sell the property, though, the question
Yes.
is if it's someone else is developing it, do they have access to I assume, Lincoln Ave, they'll be
Yeah,
looking for access to Lincoln Avenue?
we agree to offer it and accept it on the other end. And if it's ultimately sold, I'm sure they'll have the ability to accept it as well.
Okay. And then a question on the traffic study. What's the average number of cars per hour expected coming in and out of the site?
Sure, hold on a second, I'll get you that information here. So it really varies based on the hour of the day, of course.
Understood.
We focus on the peak hours. During the weekday, the maximum would be like a lunch period, midday. You'd have 97 entering and 90 exiting, according to the ITE trip projections.
Okay. And
Yeah, and a lot of that,
for
about half of that would be-
and non-peak, what would those numbers look like?
I'm sorry, during
For non-peak hours, what numbers coming in and coming out on an hourly basis?
I would have to do some more calculations. The analysis really focuses on those peak hours. I'd have to run those numbers. I can definitely get back to you with that information. I mean, less than 50, just based on my knowledge and experience with these applications.
And the study assumes that half of those cars are on the road already and half are coming specifically to the
Yeah,
destination?
based on research at these types of sites, it's assumed that about half of those trips are people already traveling on Betts Highway and/or Lincoln and turn off to use the restaurant and continue along
Okay.
their trip.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Cruz?
Was there any study done because you're clearing so much land there, for any endangered species, animals that might be impacted by this clearing of this property?
Hello. Just for the record, Matthew Tyler, Bull Engineering, professional engineer, located at 275 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 100, Millville, New York. As far as the endangered species, we run a long EAF program that is ran by the DEC that generates boundaries based on known locations of endangered species. In this particular area, nothing came up from that report as far as like a northern long-eared bat or anything like that, but we'd be more than happy to provide that long EAF to the town if need be.
Thank you. Any further questions? Mr. Brown?
Yeah, in reference to the traffic, now, you did an analysis of the traffic, but you didn't do a count, correct?
So yes, we do a traffic count, yep.
Okay, so I was just, going southbound, because Lincoln tends to be a runway to the train station from Sayville in the morning, and in the evening coming back to the south. Did you do numbers during those morning hours and evening hours, rush hour?
Yeah, so the traffic count was done, I can get you those exact hours, but they're done at basically around the peak hours. So we look in the morning peak hours, the midday peak hours, and the evening peak hours. So specifically, hold on just a second, we look at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., focusing on 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. We also review the data published by the state DOT on those roadways. They publish count data that they record throughout the year. So we compare whatever counts we have to whatever counts are available online. We also record outside those hours in case there's any anomalies or reason to believe we should look at hours before those times, but we really focus on those times in particular.
And what was the difference between the 7 and 9, the 11? I mean, the evening and the morning was probably similar, but what was the mid?
Specifically for Lincoln Avenue,
Right, at that intersection?
southbound?
Yes, northbound and then southbound in the evening.
Sorry, just give me a second here. I mean, generally, you see more, as you'd expect, you see more southbound traffic during the morning peak periods and a little bit less in the evening for that southbound Lincoln Avenue traffic. And then for the opposite for northbound. So northbound Lincoln Avenue, you'd see a little bit more in the evening and a little bit less in the morning.
Do you have any numbers?
So it's between, like just for example, I'm looking at the individual movements here. It's about 175 trips northbound on Lincoln Avenue in the evening and about 75 in the morning. On the other side, it's about 100 trips southbound in the morning and 134 southbound through movement in the, 130 in the morning and 100 in the evening for southbound. That's just the through movements.
So I was looking for the, and
I'm sorry, I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for, so.
maybe I'm just hearing you
Kinda
correctly.
throwing a lot of numbers here.
I was looking for northbound in the morning hours, the numbers, and then southbound in the evening hours. What were those numbers?
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry, northbound in the morning.
Yes,
Okay, northbound in the morning, you have about 75 cars going from the south side of Vets Highway to the north side of Vets Highway. And then southbound in the evening, you have about 100 cars going from the north side of Lincoln Avenue to the south side.
that's awfully low compared to what I experienced going to the train stations in the morning.
Yeah.
All right, and I do agree with anybody coming north to Vets Highway to visit the McDonald's, I would think they would make the left to enter it rather than going and making the left off of Lincoln. And I think the cars that depart from the McDonald's in morning hours would be passed by traffic, so it wouldn't add to an account of the traffic, that it would just continue south. So
Yeah.
I don't think that would increase. And I was concerned about the curb cut on Lincoln Avenue, but with signalization, with turn hours on Vets Highway and everything, I think that people would make the left and turn into it. So I would agree with that.
Mr. Ruler.
Good evening. What are the hours of operation of this McDonald's?
That's a great question. I think that's the one remaining contention that we have. I guess that's up for discussion now. You know, it's obviously McDonald's preference to have a 24-hour operation.
24 hours?
Yeah, 24 hours.
Okay. I don't know what my colleagues think of that. But my trepidation is not with the actual McDonald's. My problem is with the western part of the property that is owned by the applicant.
Okay.
Was the state consulted at all regarding any future curb cuts for that part? I know it's not part of this application, but they're going to need some other type of access onto Vets Highway.
Yeah.
If that property is developed, say it's an office building or something, instead of just the easement thing, was anything mentioned to the state of possibility and whether they would approve another curb cut onto?
No, we don't have an approved curb cut at this time.
I know you have nothing approved in regards to the western part, but no discussion was done with the state in regards to that.
No.
We just don't know what's going there later, so it could create problems regarding access, just from Lincoln, if you have just the easement and nothing coming onto Vets Highway. So that's a future problem.
Yeah. I mean, in the event that, well, when that property is developed, we will submit an application to DOT, and we will hopefully get another curb cut on Vets Highway. But at this point, we just have the cross access.
Ms. Wozniak, can I just ask you the staff's recommendation since the hours of operation came up? Is there a recommendation from staff on that?
I know that in the ICD, we have not approved any sort of fast food restaurant for 24 hours. There had been a couple of fast food restaurants that wanted it, but those were located next to residential neighborhoods, which tend to be bothered by late-night activity with cars and things like that. This property is a little unique in that it is abutting an industrial development, and it's located, on Vets Highway, which is a very well-traveled road. I don't see an issue with allowing the 24 hours, but I'm not sure if this will create some sort of precedent where now every other fast food restaurant will be permitted to stay open 24 hours, so.
Go Mr. Brown, then Ms. Ryan.
Yeah, I would agree with Ms. Wozniak that I don't believe it would set a precedent, because there's no residential properties.
Yeah, I believe
within- obviously within 200 feet of it.
No.
And the other thing too with the drive-through, which, Ms. Lester, I'll explain to you, the reason that they came to this piece of property, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that in order to get a drive-through, you have to be at an intersection. None of the other properties along Vets Highway have a drive-through because they don't have. The only exception would be the new Starbucks that's going in, which it didn't set a precedent because they own from block to block. But none of the other pieces of property, including the old McDonald's, could have a drive-through. So that's why they selected this piece of property. In reference to the 24 hours, I don't know that we have another McDonald's in Islip that has 24 hours. I think the latest that they go or earliest is 2 a.m. But I don't believe that this would set a precedent because of the fact that there is no residential connected anywhere near it.
Right.
Ms. Ryan?
Yeah, I just want to weigh in on the hours of operation. I heard what you're saying in terms of the location of this particular site versus other sites that have more restrictive hours. I, for one, would not support 24-hour operation at this site. I understand it's surrounded by industrial uses that, pretty much shut their lights out at the end of the day. But given the proximity to the residential that was mentioned by one of the residents here, I just think between the fact that to our knowledge, it has been granted before in this corridor, or maybe even in the town of Islip, and also because of the residential properties, 24-hour operations just draw, I don't know, who's going to McDonald's at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Well,
I
it
don't know.
is on the direct path to the airport, so,
I don't think there's a lot of planes taking off at 4 in the morning, JR, but maybe. But anyway, that's my position. I would not support a 24-hour operation on this site. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wozniak, are we aware of any other fast food restaurants in Islip that we've granted 24 hours to?
I'm not aware of any that we've granted in the past for 24 hours. In recent memory, I know that we've limited, usually it's until 2 in the morning. It's the past 2 a.m. that we usually hold people to. But I know that, there could be older fast food restaurants, that were granted back in the 90s before, these fast food restaurants became I guess, more popular and an issue that could possibly not have conditions restricting hours, that's a possibility, but I don't know of anything in recent memory that we've granted for 24 hours. We usually do typically limit them to close sometime in the early morning, usually past 2 in the morning.
So what goes on past 2 a.m.?
Can we do, I mean, I think we'd be willing to do 5 a.m. to 2 a.m. But for the store, is it possible to keep just the drive-through only open?
So here are my thoughts on, I would go with I'm one person. I would do the 5 to 2, which we've done in other areas. As of this evening, if we can find that we've approved this in other places that are similar in nature, I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with creating a precedent this evening or making this the first one without justification as to what we would need to do between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. Do you have sales numbers from other McDonald's or that your client owns that shows that there's a need for this or that?
I do not have them tonight, no.
Okay, so that would be my opinion. I'm certainly, if 2 to 5 is, 5 to 2 is what we've done previously, I'd support that based on the location. It's not against residential houses. If you can come back and show us that we've approved in other
I
areas
think
that were industrial.
We would be okay with 5 to 2.
So unless there are other questions on the hours, I, of course, have a question for we did the site plan. Is that you? You my site plan expert?
It's Mr. Matt Tyler.
Oh, perfect. Mr. Tyler. So I always talk about dumpsters, normally because they're located in the buffers next to residential. That's not the case here. But just looking at the site plan, I notice if you pull in off the entrance, the doors of the gates to the dumpster sort of open into the entranceway of where cars will be pulling in. That's how I'm looking at it. If you want to speak to it, just to confirm or deny that. I'm just wondering if people are standing out there, staff are standing out there, gates are open and cars come around that corner, if they're going to run into people standing right there.
So with this site plan, it's not represented here, but with the cross-access that we sorted out with Ms. Wozniak today, the trash enclosure will be pushed back an additional 6 feet. So it's going to allow those doors to sit farther back out of the drive aisle and not impede on the path of travel.
So the doors won't open into the drive aisle, or they will?
They will impede a bit, but they will remain closed throughout operation. So if someone is looking to go into the dumpster enclosure like an employee, they have, if you see on the site plan, a side entrance on the trash enclosure, so they don't have to open up the doors. Those doors strictly only open when the trash truck comes to load and unload the dumpsters.
Okay, so staff is not going in there. Well, that's maybe even worse. When does the trash company come? Is it during business hours or when people are going to be trying to pull in and out of there?
That is sorted out during restaurant operations. Peak and off-peak hours for different McDonald's vary, so that's sorted out with the trash company after a couple months of operations.
So we can go back and forth on this, but my simple question is why not move it to the the southwest corner, right? Nobody's been looking at the north.
Closer to Vets Memorial Highway?
No, just sliding it right along the back to the inside corner.
The northwest corner.
Right.
We can, it would just be that the trash enclosure would have to move against traffic. There's a counterclockwise circulation around the site. We would like to maintain that. Instead of having the trash truck come up from Vets Memorial Highway against traffic to load and unload the dumpster.
My concern concerns of creating a bottleneck for people trying to pull into the lot, and you come around that corner blind, obviously, and next thing you know, you're stopped by a truck that's doing whatever it's doing. I'm just wondering from a site plan, how that was thought of as a good idea.
I mean, this is the best location for it since we'll have the cross-access in that spot as well, in the northwest corner. We wouldn't want to block that as well for that development when it does come to fruition.
Are you looking at the site plan that was provided today, or?
Yes,
So
yes.
You see it pushed, it's pushed north 6 feet.
It still shows the door. The reason I'm saying is because it shows the doors opening into the, when you come around that corner right into the traffic lane. I've been to many of fast food restaurants. I've never seen coming right off of the, coming right into an entrance that it's blocked off like that from a safety concern. And it looks like you have, property there to possibly shift it. We might not decide this evening. I would, leave it subject to the town engineer making the recommendation on that for the reasons I just stated, but I certainly have concerns. I wanted to put them on the record that,
Of course.
that's the main entrance. We're talking about cars backing up on that roadway, depending on when they come there. If cars start turning in, you get 1 or 2 cars in there. Next thing you know, they're backed up onto the street because there's an operation going on in terms of removing the dumpster and putting a new dumpster in place. which then creates a traffic problem.
Understood. And like you said, we'd be more than happy to sort that out through the engineering process. This is something that we're definitely amenable to, either shifting further to the property line as we showed today with you, Ms. Wozniak, or relocating it to a better location per the town engineer if we come to that point.
Yeah, I think there are definitely options to do it. My concern is, the traffic and the safety concern
Of course.
where it's located. Are there further questions from the board? Anything further from the applicant?
No, nothing further.
Is there a motion? What was the recommendation from staff?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing and reserve decision tonight to give the client and the staff ample opportunity. Reserve.
There's a motion by Mr. Brown to close the public hearing and reserve decision this evening. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, we are reserved.
Thank you.
Item 4 on the agenda, Planning Board Application Public Hearing, 100 Windsor Properties LLC, PB 2025-025, east side of Windsor Place, and approximately 660 feet north of Allwood Avenue, Central Islip, 100 Windsor Place. Applicant requests 2 Planning Board special permits for the outside overnight parking of registered vehicles and unattached box trailers pursuant to 68-340.1C and P. Applicant also requests a waiver of 68-340.1P4 in order to allow the overnight parking of 11 unattached box trailers instead of the maximum permitted 10. Site plan modifications are also requested as part of the application.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I am Thomas P. Walsh, architect, 700 Veterans Memorial Highway, Hauppauge, here for the applicant. As described, the application before the board tonight is for special permits and site plan modifications for 100 Windsor Properties LLC to construct a 34,372 square foot addition to the with site plan improvements at 100 Windsor Place in Central Islip. The 3.2 acre property is zoned Industrial 1 and is currently developed with a 8,600 roughly square foot industrial building that was built in 1972 as a trucking terminal. The last use prior to the current ownership was the parking lot for Bauman Bus. The building will be used by Freeport Paper Industries as a manufacturing and warehouse facility. Freeport Paper is a manufacturer of pizza and bakery boxes who distribute their products across the United States and the Caribbean. I have Mr. Gil Kareen with me, the president of the company, to answer any technical questions you might have from him. The site plan has had 2 reviews from the engineering department so far, and the stipulation was that before any other reviews would take place, we'd come before the board for any special considerations that you might have to grant. Obviously, we've seen the conditions that that Kelly sent out today. I would imagine they might be still a work in progress based on the conversations that we've had this afternoon. So we'll be happy to answer any questions the board might have.
All right, why don't I go to public comment, then I'll go to Ms. Wozniak for a staff report, and then we're going to have some questions.
James Faraday?
I'm James Faraday. I have the property just to the east. We share about 200 feet of property line. I just had 3 questions or comments to make before we go forward. On the site plan that I saw on the internet, there was no drainage. Is that something that's going to be addressed so I don't flood? Okay. Next to that, on the site plan, they have an 8-foot sound wall and the 35-foot buffer. That buffer is kind of like in the summer, I can see right through. It's really not much of a buffer. I was just wondering if they would be able to do like 4 feet off the sound wall on my side, like emerald green arborvitaes or something, 4 feet off, 4 feet apart, so it'll make a nice vertical wall that you won't be able to see through. And then on the other side of the wall, maybe green giants, so now it'll be a tall wall and it'll have depth so I won't see anything. Or that was my other question. And then the dumpster, where that is, it's like 50 feet from the house. And I just didn't want to run into an issue where at 4 o'clock in the morning, you got wet garbage in there and he's got it 20 feet in the air, shaking it back and forth, trying to get it out. Maybe if that could be moved towards the industrial street. But with the exception of those 3 minor concerns, I have absolutely no problem with them going forward with this project.
Thank you.
Robert Lieb?
Good evening. I'm Robert Lieb. I'm at 155 South Lawn, a resident for 32 years. I have, like my neighbor that just spoke, I just have some minor concerns. Specifically, the most pressing one for me is the diesel fumes. Over the last 30 years, the buses or whatever happened to be in the neighborhood, in the cold times of the year, we would get so much diesel fumes that I felt like I was in a truck center when I was in my front yard. And so my first concern was, I heard there was going to be an 8-foot wall. Would an 8-foot wall be enough if the exhaust of the trucks are 10 foot high, let's say? That was one thing. But aside from that, I was given the impression that a bunch of trees were coming down, but I heard that that's not the case, because that would be a concern too if a large number of trees, because there has to be a good transition between a residential neighborhood and an industrial park. So I'm glad to hear that there's going to be a wall to make it a little bit more presentable. But I just wanted to confirm that indeed that we're not going to be knocking down so many trees. That's basically all I have.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Ms. Wozniak for a staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property is located on the east side of Windsor Place, approximately 660 feet north of Allwood Avenue in central Islip, and it's improved with an 8,650 square foot industrial building. Tonight, the applicant's looking to obtain planning board special permits for the outdoor overnight parking of 10 unattached box trailers and 9 registered vehicles. The request for the additional unattached box trailer has been eliminated. This application also involves a proposed 24,000 square foot building addition, which increases the required parking to 69 stalls where 53 are provided. A front yard landscaping relaxation is also required as the property is quite deep, but the overall site will be increasing the front yard landscaping from existing conditions. The delivery truck and unattached box trailer parking is proposed to be located on the north side of the building, screened from view by the building itself as the additions are stepped back along that side. In addition, the applicant is proposing a 50-foot vegetated buffer along with an 8-foot sound attenuation wall along the eastern property line. No overhead doors are located along the eastern facade, and the overnight parking meets all the required setbacks from the street and residential uses. At this time, there are still some concerns regarding the truck movement plan that require additional review from the engineering division. The truck parking and backup aisle do not currently meet industry standards. So based on this, planning recommends the board reserve decision in order to provide some additional time to evaluate the truck parking and then the dumpster relocation too, we could take a look at.
Thank you, Ms. Wozniak. Yeah, one of the reputations I have is being known as the dumpster man. I don't know if I should be proud of that, but I always raise the issue when a dumpster is close to residences when there's an opportunity to move it somewhere else, and clearly here with industrial properties on both sides is the opportunity to move those dumpsters away from the residences.
I believe there's definitely the opportunity to do that.
I also noticed that you're showing, I guess, 35 feet of the landscaping, but the curb cut is about 50 feet away. Is there any reason why the landscaping can't go all the way out to the curb cut?
Okay.
To supplement the plantings? Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but it looks like the curb cut is further out, correct? Or the curb itself, not cut, but the curb
Let
itself
me
is
just,
further?
bear with me 1 sec. Let me just get to the front page.
It looks like the curb is further out.
So we
it's
have-
50 feet.
35 feet of natural area,
Right.
and then basically the balance behind the building will be landscaped. Between the building and the sound wall is landscaped.
Okay.
At
It
the end
didn't-
of the day, this is all combined and still just, at this juncture, we're just over 20% total. It's the percentage in the front yard that we are lacking.
Okay, so you are going to,
Oh, yeah,
where it says proposed buffer from there to the building is, it didn't really reflect it on here, at least I didn't see it that way.
yes.
I
As a ma-
will, I know I spoke with
Right.
Tom about this at some point today, but we had discussed moving the sound wall to 50 feet in there. That way it deters encroachment, because I know what you're saying.
Yes.
It's showing a landscaped area that could easily, box trucks could park. I'm sure they could get
Right.
over a 6-inch curb. So we would just move that to 50 feet, and I think that would be
All right,
all
so my
resolved.
only concern is, so the buffer stays at 35, the sound wall moves to 50? My only concern is that it could be a 50-foot buffer, but then my percentage of landscaping dives further down. That's my concern. We've worked, and I think we started at 25 and actually went to 35.
Only the 35 feet would be like discluded from the overall.
Okay, fine,
Yeah.
okay.
And
Fair
then,
enough.
can we also, the issue is raised about the types of plantings. Can we talk about supplementing those plantings or doing something that would provide more of a true buffer in there?
Absolutely.
Our buffer standards do require, I think it's like a sawtooth row
Correct.
of evergreens followed by a row of deciduous trees. So you'd have like the triangle in the winter for, the evergreens, and then the deciduous trees would hopefully fill in the top at least when they can. So they will have to do that.
Okay.
Those are all my questions. Any further questions from board members? Ms. Cruz?
Have any, does the site have any violations for, or has it cleared the violations for having those those trailers there now, or those, has that been cleared? That we know of? Because they're only allowed 10, and from this, yeah, there's like over 20 or 30 on here. I can't even count them.
Right, well, technically, they are being used for, and Mr. Kareem can tell you the whole Freeport paper story if you wish. The whole concept is that the trailers wind up being absorbed into the addition. They're basically being used for storage at this juncture, and they'll disappear because ultimately we'll have 24,000 square foot of warehouse space for the contents of these trailers to be placed in. That's the whole idea. That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you. Further questions from the board? Not seeing any. Anything further from the applicant? Is there a motion? No, Mr. Moriarty has a question first.
Are the conditions, Kelly, the conditions finalized at this point? Because I don't see any attached in our packet.
No, we wanted to go over the truck movement with engineering, because it seems like it's a little bit tight, and this plan might change the one that you guys are seeing, so we recommend you guys reserve it so we can get you a finalized plan to
That's what I wanna
make your
confirm.
decision off of.
Would you like me to-
Since your mic's on, Mr. Moriarty, why don't you go ahead with the motion?
It's a nice setup. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing. We can reserve decision tonight and let the applicant and planning staff work on the various open issues.
Thank you. There's a motion by Mr. Moriarty to close the public hearing and reserve decision. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Cruz. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? We are reserved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn. Moriarty, second by Mr. Brown. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? We are adjourned. Thank you.